Welcome to ZOOMERTIMES TV. And here's your host, Anita Finley.
Hello, everybody. I'm Anita Finley. I'm your host, your ZOOMERTIMES host today. And we have a sparkling attorney, and don't be afraid of attorneys. They're really there to help you. But this particular attorney specializes in many things that I know our viewers would be interested in. And this is Chandler Finley with Finley and Bologna International. Welcome to our show, Chandler.
Great, thank you, Anita.
Yeah, and you know, Chandler, attorneys, there are so many, you see them on TV talking about if you were hurt in an accident, if you're this or that. That's not what you do. Why don't you explain to everyone what your specialties are?
Okay, well, my specialties for one is real estate. I do real estate closings. So if you're buying or selling a house, you need a contract prepared. We handle both sales and buying. We're also a title agent. We handle the title work, the lien search. We can help you process the loan, mortgage documents for the banking, all those kinds of things, and properly close your property. So you know you don't have any problems with the property, includes inspections and surveying and all those details. And also it means that your funds are in an escrow account. A lot of scams out there now. A lot of people are getting hit by computer problems and losing their money. We make sure the money is secure, an escrow account in a secure bank, and that you'll get the money's wired back to you or checks, whatever you need done. We'll handle the whole closing. And the real estate also goes from, there are problems with the real estate. There's defects on the property. There's a lien that you never cleared off, or something from the condominium association, or a new assessment. And those cause problems with the closing. You can't sell until those things are all settled. Or the new buyer is going to take them on, or the approval of the condo association, all those things. So that's one real estate matter. I think real estate is going to pick up a lot because we have a lot of foreigners moving to South Florida, and that's one reason why I also practice a lot of immigration. And on the immigration front, the news is that the travel ban has been lifted. For the last 18 months, the Europeans have not been able to come directly to the United States, all of Europe and additional countries. And so now that ban was just lifted on November 8th, so basically since last week. And that means that the Europeans, as long as they're vaccinated, they can come to the United States. They have been holding on to their money and investments. They come a lot. Now they're going to start coming. They want to make investments. They want to buy homes. They want to sell their homes. There's going to be a lot of activity. I think they're going to be mostly buying homes and condos for all of Europe. And also it means Latin America, South America, from Argentina, Brazil, some of those countries also. But everyone coming in has to be vaccinated. They have to take the 48-hour test before they get on a plane. And then that shows that they'll be ready to come to the United States, send money here, and let's make some new business, because we're all hopefully getting back to business as usual, except with vaccinations. That's all. We're all vaccinated in America. We should be okay, with mask or without mask, whichever you feel comfortable with. And we have to, entertain the business people that are coming here to start investing in America again. Imagine this companies, they were restricted. They couldn't come here to conduct business for a year and a half, all that time, because of the COVID. And now they're going to come back, and it should be good for everybody for the new year and all that stuff.
And then, of course, families, they've been separated for a long time besides business. But I was thinking about, now I'm reading so much about the cruise ships.
Right. Well, of course, the cruise ships have a large percentage of, especially in Miami, all the Europeans and foreigners that come to Miami just to get on the cruise ship. And so now that you can't find a plane reservation, they're all booked solid out.
Really?
6 months, everyone's booking to come to Miami and South Florida, so they can get on the cruise ships, and then so spend their time, because the winter is kicking in Europe, and they like to come here for the South for the warm weathers. They like Miami and South Florida, Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale. And so there'll be, so that's really good for the cruise ships. They've had, they haven't had full ships yet, and all of their ships are not all active. So hopefully they will be, getting them all active again once all the Europeans start, really arriving. I mean, it's an incredible millions of passengers that they have every year that they didn't have for a year and a half, and now they're going to be going through. So that means, it's a lot of money for Florida, South Florida, a lot of business, a lot of tax dollars, and that's all good for everybody. That's in addition to of course, the infrastructure bill, which was passed by Congress and President Biden, which is really helpful for South Florida. That also means jobs and companies want to hire people, so they're going to be hiring also professional engineers and things like that from the U.S. and from abroad. There's a lot of foreign companies that do that kind of work, and they're coming here as well. So those are the.
Well, let me ask you a couple of questions on the cruise ships. So let's say that you're on a cruise ship though, and you don't feel well. And you do a lot of things for cruise ship people, don't you? What do you do?
Well, the cruise ships have probably the highest level of, COVID security, fighting against it, because they are on a closed environment on the ship. So not only is everyone in the ship tested daily, they're tested while the ship is out, even before they get on the ship, they're tested, all the employees, everybody on the ship, but also the passengers all have to get tested before they get on the ship. They have to be vaccinated. There was a little bit of a fight with the governor about not forcing everyone to be vaccinated on the ship. And so they have like 5% of the people that if you don't want to be vaccinated, you can get on the ship anyway, but you still have to take the test, and you have to have insurance to provide insurance costs if you get sick while you're on the ship or cause any illness. So and there's a lot of things about that. So, but the ships, they have complete new divisions of everyone would go to the buffets on the ships and all of those kinds of things. Now they have whole new service sections, and a lot of it's individuals seating, bringing food to your rooms a lot more. There's so many more options and things like that. And everything, of course, is they've ripped out whole sections and put new sections on the ships just to be safer and anti-COVID. They also have they have more COVID or medical facilities on the ships. If people come down with anything, they immediately, put them in a bubble inside one of the quarantine rooms and really try to protect everyone else. I think they had, in the last couple of months, thousands of passengers, and they only had like 3 or 4 incidents of individual COVID cases. So it's amazing what they're really doing. And they have to do that because no one wants to get on a ship and have a problem. Of course, also, a lot of the ships, they have their own islands that you go to now. And so everyone on the island is also vaccinated. And so when you get off, if you go to a city, for instance, you can't, quarantine everyone in the city and have, safety measures for everybody in another town. But a lot of the cruise lines, they have their own island, and they've created a paradise on the island where you can get off and enjoy the island, but it's all basically, you're not leaving the cruise grounds. And so everyone on the island is, vaccinated. It gives you a beach, it gives you excursions to do, things like that. And it's all under vaccination cover. So that seems to be working really well for those cruise lines that go to their own islands that they own out there. It's amazing.
Yeah, you sound like you're very positive about cruises and people resuming what they like to do.
Yeah, I am very positive. Things are going to have to come back to people. Tourism and traveling and all that is very important, I think. I think it's the right time. We're going to have to learn how to deal with the COVID and get the booster shots and move on. And if you're protected, then you should be okay.
Right. Well, as an attorney, though, and you just covered real estate and you covered immigration, I think you also do something else that I think it affects the cruise ships. You do entertainment. You help people.
Right. So we do lots of the entertainer visas for the shows, all the musicals, from the singers to the dancers. They call them also the aerialists. They have a couple of, people that fly on the high wire and do special things like that. They're called aerialists on the ships. They do some performances, and so we represent them there. Most of them are from either England, Australia, South Africa, France, things like that. And they have to come train at the studios that are here in South Florida, and then they go on the ships afterwards with a new show, because all the ships have different shows, so there's constantly a new show being under production, and when that show is over, there's a new show that replaces it, and so it's a real cycle of shows and actors and dancers and singers, and we do a lot of the entertainment that's on the ships for visa work. We represent the entertainers and get the visas for the ships.
Now, you said something, I think it's over, but you said there was a lottery, and did a lot of people then apply for the lottery?
Yeah, there was a visa lottery, people that wanted to apply for the green card. And that's where someone actually, they just put their name in a computer, and we had about 45 people that applied. And so next year, sometime in April or May, they'll be notified if immigration selected them. We don't know the total numbers of people, but it's always around 6 million people in the world that applied for the lottery. And so then we'll find out then, and they might win the green card. That's for a green card, of course. Well, what's also interesting is now that the infrastructure bill has been passed by President Biden, Biden's next major legislation, he says, is immigration reform. And so now that's going to be a big political battle, because it's also a Democrat versus Republican. But in addition, there's a lot of Democrats that don't know if they're really supportive of all the immigration bills. And then there's some Republicans that do support it, but they're, going to be roped in and, have to vote with their party maybe. But that's going to be coming up, and hopefully that'll be worked on next year. Maybe by next summer, we'll have immigration reform, because I think we have about 15 million illegal immigrants in the United States, and we need to register them all, get them work permits, job permits, and make them start paying their taxes. And if they have a right to stay here, they have a skill, maybe they can stay and provide work and residence like everybody else coming in the U.S.
And also, I know that you have an office. You have one in Miami and you have one in Wellington. And the one in Wellington, do you do things out there besides real estate? But don't you do things with polo?
Right. Well, most of the foreign polo players are from Argentina, Mexico, Brazil, Uruguay. And so we bring in the polo players and their grooms. In Wellington, there's about 250,000 people that come to Wellington just for polo and the equestrian events. It really is amazing out in Wellington. It's probably, we call it the Wimbledon of the polo. It's the #1 place in America where you can see polo games, international level polo games, and also equestrian games, the hunters, the jumpers, the dressage, dancing the horses, things like that. And it's quite amazing to see it. And many of those people, the polo players, probably 50% of them are from, Argentina, different countries. And a lot of the equestrian riders, they're Belgian, all the people we saw in the Olympics, they will come to compete and the prizes are up to $150,000 per tournament. There's a $1 million prize in one of the competitions for the equestrians. So there's a lot of people that come, and they all bring their horses, and we represent the foreign equestrians getting their visas and doing the work here, also helping to find real estate for the people that come. They have to bring their horses and have land and stables and farms for their horses. The polo teams, they bring 25 horses when they come to polo.
Really?
And they fly them on the planes, first class, and they have a groom inside the plane.
That'd be an interesting story to watch that.
Yeah, and then there's actually horse trainers that go inside the plane with them, with the horses when they're flying. They have to make sure that they're calm and everything's okay. You don't want crazy horses running around in a plane while it's flying, right? So they actually fly with the horses inside, and when they land, they take them out. They're with them the whole time. And the horses, by the way,
do they have to have visas? The horses?
Well, yeah, they have to have customs declarations. They have to pass. They get quarantined also before they release them. Every horse is quarantined in the U.S. Customs, or they have quarantine centers in Wellington where they actually are restricted to the center, but so they can test them, make sure they don't have any disease or anything like that. So for 10 days, they have to stay quarantined for sure. And these are horses that are worth, $250,000 each horse. It's unbelievable. And they bring in 25 of these horses. It's incredible what they're doing. And it's quite amazing. Sometimes they say there's on the land, there's a farm and then there's a house, and you don't know which is the more beautiful. You're not sure whether you're going to go stay at the house or stay at the farm. They're very nice. So that's in Wellington. You see the beautiful properties in Wellington. And sometimes the polo come to Wellington. They have to actually rent a polo field to practice on while they're, because you can't just play at the polo club all day because everybody's trying to get on the practice fields. So a lot of the farms out there have their own polo field, which you can imagine polo is larger than an American football field. It's larger than a soccer field. It's huge. So it's incredible they do that.
Sounds like you're having fun, Chandler.
Yeah, well, we try to have some fun. Exactly. That's part of it. A lot of the people we bring in are sports and entertainers from overseas, that kind of stuff. If they're coming in sports entertainment, a lot of singers and, the entertainers that come to the United States, it's very nice to bring them. Now, they have to already be famous outside the U.S. before they come here.
Why?
So we bring in a lot of people that are already famous outside, but names you would never know because they've never been to the United States before, unless they're maybe playing a sports circuit, they come play here, but maybe they're a tennis player and they come play in the US Open, or a lot of golfers or foreigners. We represent some golfers, international, that work with the PGA or the women's, the lady PGA. And then, a lot of others are like race car drivers, and all the Formula One races and Grand Prix, a lot of them are foreign drivers, but Ferrari and Lamborghini, Mercedes, all those kinds of drivers, Porsche. And so they bring in lots of foreign drivers, and we represent them for immigration and help sponsor the teams in their competition as well.
So what actually does it take for someone who is living abroad and they want to come and they want to visit America, but they also want to live here and they want to do things? Explain what the actual details of a situation like that would be.
Right. Well, someone can always come as a tourist, of course. There's tourist visas, and those are for being tourists, tourism and visiting. And once you get paid to do something here in the U.S., that's really the difference. So you're getting paid to do something. You're either racing, or you're working, or you're entertaining, or you're a consultant, or you're an engineer, whatever it is. Then you have to fit in one of the visa categories, and it's kind of like goes by the alphabet, just by the number of types of visas. The visas go from A all the way through almost Z these days now. And but they also include visas like for victims of trafficking or crimes and things like that, if they're here assisting the U.S. government in having other people arrested or prosecuted. There's visas for like witnesses, things like that. But what you're talking about are employment visas, and those are people that want to come work. You have to have a sponsor. The company has to file the papers for them. Papers can be filed in the U.S., or sometimes they're filed at the consulates overseas in their home country. And the visa then, once it's approved, then they can start work. And those visas there's different types of visas for professionals. There's visas for sports people, for entertainers, visas for trainees. A lot of students go to school here, international students on visas. And after they're here for more than 1 year, they might be able to get a part-time work visa. Sometimes they're interns and they can work as interns, things like that. It's difficult to get visas for unskilled jobs, like caretakers, nannies. There are visas for nurses. There's a shortage of nurses. So there's a special visa for, registered nurses, for instance. Doctors can get visas, but it's hard to get doctors visas because they're not able to practice their medicine here. They can only do research and they can't do clinical and give advice to patients. They can only be associated with a medical company because of that. But there's different visas for them. There's visas for investors.
Chandler, wait, let me interrupt you for people listening who want to contact you for a visa or information. Would you give them your phone number and how they should call you?
Absolutely. So we have an office in Miami and in Wellington. Either office you can call and you'll get a hold of me. In Miami, the number is 305-379-7676. And in Wellington, it's 561-478-9930. And just leave your information. We also have a website. If you just Google FinleyBologna.com, you get all your information from there. Bologna is my partner, Stefania Bologna. She's Italian, and she speaks a fluent Italian, Spanish, and she'll be able to help you anything you need. Bologna is spelled B-O-L-O-G-N-A, so it's FinleyBologna.com.
That's good, yeah, because people are listening. And of course, people know that if they miss any of that, they can always call our office, Boomer Times, and we'll certainly help you get to Chandler Finley. Chandler has a great reputation. He's been, I think you've been practicing, what, 30 years?
Yes, a little over 30 years.
Right. You started in kindergarten, right?
Right, exactly.
Well, it's really excellent to hear about the immigration because we know it's been a big topic. But the other thing, I want to move back to real estate for a moment. Is real estate, and I know you're involved in a lot of things, are there really properties available, or is it that, I mean, Miami is a tough place to get homes, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a cycle, and right now there were a lot of buildings that are coming online. They're still building. We used to say how many cranes there were in Miami. There's not so many cranes now, but there's a lot of finished rental apartment buildings. A lot of the office buildings are during COVID. The offices were being emptied out. People weren't working. They're working remote, and so now the buildings are changing to rentals. They're converting some of the offices back to rentals now. And there's a lot of rentals in Miami. The prices are very, things are high in Miami. There is a lot of people from California, New York moving to South Florida, also in Palm Beach County, everywhere. And because they're trying to get out of some of those other regions. Everyone likes the weather in southern Florida. Florida's a good state. Now, but for living in South Florida, I mean, obviously, if you want to live close to downtown, it gets expensive and very tight, and the prices are going up. But there's a lot of new communities out west, more towards like Doral, South Miami, north. If you're on the beaches, there's a lot of condominiums that are available and those kind of things. I mean, it's out there, it's available. You got to find the right real estate broker and agent, and we can be glad to help you with that. We're finding you the right real estate agent to help you if you're interested in getting a referral. We'll be glad to help you with that down here. Either it's business or residential. We're all over South Florida. So
well, listening to you, it's very important, and I need to say this because I actually was in the real estate business full time many years ago, and even though I'm still a broker, I do referrals, but I'm not really active the way you were just describing it. But let me just say that many brokers do not urge their clients to go to lawyers. And I always felt that was wrong because, as you said before, there could be something wrong with a title. There could be something that's just not exactly right. And you have problems with escrow. And I really think people need to, if you're going to buy a property and it's going to be expensive, no matter what, it's a big thing in your life, you need to have a lawyer, make sure all the documents are in order. And you do it after the fact, you can lose and then you can't sell it. So have you seen anything in your years helping people that were very sad about that?
Well, yeah, and let me explain that. In Florida, and every state's a little different. In Florida, we have a model contract that's been developed by the Florida Bar and the Realtors Association together. It's called the FLA Bar, for Florida Realtors and then the Bar Association. And all realtors basically use that contract, which is a purchase and sale agreement for residential homes. And there's also one for business as well. The problem is that once you sign it as an offer and your realtor fills in the form and they mark the boxes, a lot of those boxes have options. A lot of the boxes have spaces to fill in. And it's really knowing what to fill in and knowing what the boxes mean when you mark the box versus not marking the box, how that's going to affect the closing and affect your options and extending the inspections and for mortgage financing and all those kind of things. Obviously, there are lots of great real estate agents. They're experienced and they know what they're doing, and a lot of them do. A lot of them, but you have a lot of new people. Everyone comes in and they get their real estate license and they immediately go to work trying to sell. And once you sign that contract, it's a contract. And so when let's say the buyer signs it, makes an offer, that seller signs it, it's a contract. If you come to the lawyer after that, I can't change the contract, it's too late. So there's a whole page of the contract that says extra provisions, the addendum. You can write all the different things you want to do. You have to, all the things that sometimes the realtor just wants to get it signed because they know they have a contract then. And it's hard to then negotiate points afterwards. It's very difficult. So, they're afraid that lawyers are going to break the deal. That's what they're worried about.
I know.
And you have to listen to what the client wants. And of course, the realtor is just finding them the right house. But when you get to a real estate lawyer who's involved in closing, financing, foreigners, documents, we're going to start asking the client, well, when do you have the money? Is the money available? If you're from, you have your money in a trust, you can't get it out. You have to divest it from some securities and things. Are you going to make those deposits? And so then we have to say, okay, well, let's get a little more timed extension, or it's a condo, maybe you don't need to do a survey, but if it's a home and it's a lot of property and it's right next to a construction site, we need to have a survey and make sure that there's no problems with the property. So there's lots of things we look at, and we have our own computer that's hooked into the county, into the state. So we have a real estate computer, and we're able to go in and look at the property, which one you're interested in, and tell you all about it before you actually sign. And that might make a difference as to a couple of clauses, putting them in the contract. But generally, it is a form contract. So if you've got a realtor who has some experience and been trained on which boxes to mark on the form, then you're almost there. The attorney is just to make sure everything is the way you really want it to be when you close. To give you an example, sometimes maybe you put you want to buy it in a corporation name, but you put your personal name on there, and there's a box as to whether you can assign the contract to a corporation or not. And just by signing the box and saying no, maybe they won't let you sign it because they're afraid that you're really going to try to sell it and do a flip and buy it and then flip it the next day for another 100,000 and make a profit. So there's lots of provisions on those kind of things. Also, when we're dealing with condominium assessments, the contracts don't really talk about.
Thing now.
Yeah,
right.
No, I guess that right, because after what happened in Surfside, now the buildings have huge assessments, and who's going to pay that? The seller wants to get out. They don't want to pay that extra. I don't know. It's going to be like $1,800 a month assessment for the 40-year certification. They want to sell it, and they don't have to disclose that in the contract. The way it is. But when you have an attorney who knows about these things, we're going to say, no, you have to disclose all the existing assessments or future assessments and who's going to pay for them now. Those are big issues. So things like that come up, and we try to think about what's going on. We also are been here for a long time, all over South Florida. We know what's going on. If someone says, "Oh, I'm buying in the Blue Diamond," we know immediately what that means. We've had a closing before, what the problems are in that building, and we're going to tell you, "Oh, don't forget about this and that." We're going to put it in the contract because we know it's coming up. The realtor may not have that information.
You know, the other thing, as you were talking, I was thinking about that you are of counsel with a very important firm. You might want to share who they are and what they do.
Right. Well, we are right now. It's myself and Stefania Bologna. So we're a firm of 2 attorneys, but we are of counsel, which means we're affiliated with another firm called Diaz, Bruce, and Targ, and they're a very large international firm. They have offices, affiliated offices with other attorneys around the world. But what they really specialize here in Miami is a lot of financial transactions. I mean, if you, for instance, were trying to get a loan and the loan was denied for some reason because they couldn't verify where you're getting your funds from, then the firm might be able to do some more investigation research and get your loan approved or something like that. But this firm here, the idea is having resources, having litigation resources. If you need to threaten that if you're not going to sell the property that we wanted at this price, you're trying to get out of the contract, we have to have litigation behind us to enforce the contract, to special performance and things like that. So it's a litigation firm. They specialize in some international business, also local matters. And they also do some criminal law matters. We, never want to talk about those things, but sometimes things happen, and they might be able to help, a client of ours if they're getting involved in any matters, whether it's their fault or not, whatever might have happened. So it expands our services to our clients. That's what's good about them.
Yeah, it's always important to have that kind of a referral basis. But there are people, of course. The other thing is wiring funds. And so people should be very careful where they put their funds too. I mean, they're going to give it to the real estate brokerage firm, or they're going to give it to a lawyer, or they're going to give it to the bank. I don't know much about the escrow and those funds.
Right. Well, the escrow accounts, which is a separate account designated only to hold client money. It's not an account that we're able to use to pay our bills or use to put money through and take it out on a regular basis. That's a special account that has to sit there, and it's audited by 3 different auditors every year. And so we have to certify, and it has to do with our bar license. And those funds, we protect them and watch over them. A lot of times, if you get into a fight on a real estate contract, the people talk about, "Oh, I'm going to take your deposit if you don't, come into the closing, and you can't use that as a reason not to close. I'm going to, forfeit your deposit." And so now, if the funds are in my account, then I'm going to hold on to them, and we're going to fight for those funds, either in court or not. With the real estate, with the realtors.
With that, we're going to have to tell you that we've run out of time, Chandler.
Okay,
this has
no
been
problem.
Great. We appreciate it. And your phone number again is 56.
Right.
What is your phone number again?
Yeah, so in Palm Beach County, it's 561-478-9930. In Miami, it's 305-379-7676. And my name's all over on Google. You'll catch me and just give me a call.
Thank you very much, everybody. We appreciate your listening, and hopefully you're smarter today than you were yesterday. Goodbye, Chandler.
Great. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.